What's good, everybody? It's me again. It's Zen. And let me make some adjustments here. All right, we're here. I hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's doing great. It's a beautiful fall day outside, and I went to talk. I want to do a short video today, and I have my notebook as I usually do. So the title says it right in the title, right? A few reasons why I do not miss being a girl. I don't miss it. This is inspired by a conversation I had recently. I do not miss being a pretty girl. I do not miss being a pretty woman. I do not miss being a pretty girl. And I have a few reasons why. I say a few because I'm not really sure how to number this, seeing how a lot of these things overlap. And maybe I'll do like a part 2 or something. I want to keep it real. I want to keep these videos. I need more brief videos. They're all pretty long, right? So one of the main reasons is the attention it brings, right? It brings a lot of unnecessary, unwarranted, and like kind of even like delusional like attention. Growing up, I was actually always very quiet, the quiet type. And truth is, I do own responsibility for that, right? I chose to kind of let people peg me as shy. I chose to kind of let people assume that I was like insecure in some way, when really I just didn't want to talk. Just didn't want to talk to folks. Most people, to me, wasn't talking about anything particularly interesting, and it allowed me to kind of disappear, or at least try to disappear in the background. Of course, it took me a while to realize that I wasn't disappearing as much as I thought I was. And it's just, I'm too young to really even understand what dysphoria is. And so it's like the more I call myself wanting to just blend into the background, I feel like the less I did. So yeah, I grew up the typical tomboy. You know, I was lucky enough to grow up at a time where we had like TLC and Aaliyah. Back in the day, they kind of, in a way, it kind of made guys realize that like not all tomboys are gay, even though I really was. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it gave girls permission to not feel like they need to be this girly girl 24/7, and like has to the back. I like to put my pants down real low, something like that, right? Like it was life changing for little girls like me. It's a beautiful thing. So yeah, I dressed down a lot, and still, you still had your boys that have crushes on you, and yeah, maybe I did call myself like fooling around with a boy or two when I was younger. If you were to actually, and then like no disrespect, fellas, again, I'm not gonna name names. It's not a gossip channel. But if you actually go back to if you were to look at the boyfriends that I had when I was like 18 and 19 years old, no one was much bigger than I was. One of them actually looked like me. People used to be like, "Oh, is that your brother?" And I'm like, "No." So one of them kind of looked like me. The other one had long eyelashes and like was literally, you know how when you senior in high school and people are like they get themselves into their little categories in the yearbook. He was literally voted nicest smile, right? So these are the boyfriends we're talking about. One of them used to wear Speedos. And so I'm naturally attracted to femininity, and I'm young. I'm open-minded enough to just say, hey, why not? This guy is nice. I can try it. They were safe because they were actually like my friends, if that makes sense. Like I fooled around with a couple guys that were really just my friend, and they didn't come off to me like the kind of guys that felt the need to tell everybody. And I really played it safe. Like it wasn't just like me trying guys. I really kind of played it safe to just say that I try it, and again, with guys that I felt safe with. They wasn't there wasn't nothing extra about them. They're actually really sweet guys, and even one of them actually would hit me up and knock on the door. Like even he would have a girlfriend or like whatever, he had kids, like his life he moved on with his life, but he would always reach out and just say, just want to let you know I care about you, and like, if you ever need anything, or like, I'm not trying to get back at you or nothing like that, but it's like, I'm out here, I love you, like, and so I lucked out. I feel like I lucked out in having some like decent guys around me when I was younger, and these are still decent guys. So like I really feel like I lucked out on that. Like they never switched up, these guys, and I appreciate that, and they're good guys. Long story short, I didn't miss being pretty. One of the tough things about being pretty is that pretty comes with all these assumptions, right? And so we assume, one thing I'm noticing like in society's standards, right? Pretty is deemed feminine, right? Like, so if you're pretty, you're kind of deemed feminine, even though I was never really very girly. I was never girly. I don't, sure, I could wear a pink shirt every now and again, but who can't? It's just pink. Pink is what happens when you put red and white together. I feel like again, kind of what I said in the last video. I feel like we'd be stressing ourselves out over things we don't really need to be stressed about. But I was never a girly girl. I never cared to play with dolls. My mom used to buy me dolls. My parents used to buy me Barbie dolls, but then I used to like play with them with the G.I. Joes. And so we used to take the G.I. Joes and pretend like that was us, and then the Barbie was mom. So we used to have the G.I. Joes, and we would go, hey mom, can we go outside and play? And she'd be like, okay. And then we put the Barbie doll. You didn't see her for a while. You didn't see her for a while until it was time for dinner or something. Like, you know what I mean? We used the Barbie doll to be the girl. And when it came time to pick a character, for me, I was never picking the girl. My parents could tell you when we do Christmas lists, you can tell from the Christmas list, nobody asked for no Barbie doll. I asked for G.I. Joes. I asked for rap music, hip-hop music, cassettes. I'm gonna pause. I got people walking by, but I don't want to stop the video. Give me 1 second. I can edit this little part out. I might not. It's not gonna take that long. It also gives me a second to check my list. We're doing like 7 minutes. We're doing okay, and I hope this is making sense. But yeah, remote control cars. I like board games and puzzles, to be honest. So I guess really technically like half my list was probably gender neutral, right? 'Cause a lot of people like, it's not really a boy or girl thing to like puzzles and to color and to draw. Really, if you want to be technical about it, like that's not really a masculine or feminine thing, if you ask me. Those are things everybody likes to do for the most part, if you could, And again, like when you're pretty, I feel like people's imagination projects like, oh, they're pretty, and that makes them feminine. So let me see what happens if I show them. Maybe if I show them how to dress like a girl. My dad used to mention my sister-in-law, right? Who's typical girly girl, although she's not the girliest girl in the world, but she's a typical girly girl. My sister and my stepsister, I would say typical girl, typical woman. My dad used to, in conversation, would say, hey, just for the sake of this, I'm gonna call her Samantha. That's not her. I'm not gonna name real names. It's not a gossip channel. Oh, Samantha, she dresses nice. It's nice. It's not showing too much, but it's feminine. I'm like, that's cool. She said, why don't you go shopping with her? Mind you, I'm 30 plus. I'm like 32, 33 when we're having this conversation. Like, I don't know where the women's section of the store is. She dresses real nice. Why don't you go shopping with her sometime? It's like, we can go shopping together. I'm still gonna go to the men's section of the store. And the funny thing is, half of my wardrobe was out of the women's section. It's just the way I wore it. I'm a tomboy. I can't help that I don't walk girly. Changing the clothes was not gonna make me walk different. It's not gonna make me want to play basketball less. And so like half my wardrobe was girl clothes. I just got in baggy. So that was my compromise. I'm like, all right, I gotta shop in the girls section. All right, well, I'm gonna get this extra large. I'm gonna get this button-up shirt. I'm gonna get this sweater. And that's also where the dissociation starts to happen. Like I feel like it's time for us to learn more about what dissociation is. So that's where the dissociation starts to kick in, right? I just stopped thinking of my body so much. I just didn't look down. I just didn't look in the mirror. I just put on whatever was comfortable because it was comfortable and just didn't look. So now I'm, without realizing it, they're actually traumatizing me. And in order to reduce the impact, my young brain is dissociating from what's happening. It's like, okay, my mom is trying to get me to wear pink. Well, let me get this pink sweatsuit. I remember having this like 3 sweatsuits. It was like one was pink, one was like powder blue, and the other one was yellow. And so like I guess that was her way of trying to meet me halfway and trying to prevent me from looking too much like a boy. As if it would have mattered. What am I, 5, 6 years old? I'm not trying to get married. What difference does it make? I'm trying to learn how my ABCs and my 1, 2, 3s. What difference does it make for a 7, 8-year-old to be a tomboy? Not every tomboy is going to be gay, y'all. Like, I was, but majority of my friends growing up who were also tomboys are straight. Majority of my friends are straight. Life isn't that simple, right? Like 1 + 1 doesn't always equal 2, right? So it was just so annoying, and it was actually very traumatizing. And let me see where we at. 12 minutes again. I want this to be kind of somewhat of a short video. And so it was just, so yeah, I don't miss these things. I don't miss the assumptions that came with being pretty, and I didn't miss. It just felt like, it's such being a girl, being a woman is like everyone is caring too much about what I look like, and nobody was caring about what I felt like. I can probably count on one hand how many times people checked in on me emotionally. You know, like, how did you feel about that? Like, are you okay in here? If I had $1 for every time somebody had a comment about my hair and about my high cheekbones, and then imagine you're this huge tomboy who don't really care about being pretty, but now you got to deal with haters, girls hating on you because you're pretty, and it's like, sis, bro, like, I didn't decide, right? I'm not the person who decided the standard for pretty. It's not even my decision. That was a societal thing. Like, y'all decided I was pretty, and not only did you decide that I was pretty, you decided that you need to treat me like crap because you assume that somehow I'm spoiled in the world for being pretty, right? And so it took me a long time to actually realize that I was even attractive, because no one was really saying it to my face. Nobody was really explaining to me like, oh, you're attractive, this is why people act like that, and like, this is what people find attractive. Nobody's breaking that down. And so I could probably count on one hand the number of times people actually told me to my face, you're attractive, you're pretty. One hand. I'm 35 plus. No one actually tells me I'm attractive. I had to figure that out by the way people were treating me. And then we live in this world with something called pretty privilege, and I think I'm gonna do a separate video on how, like, that's a privilege is only a privilege when it's a privilege, right? Like, what is that even mean, pretty privilege? I feel like it's so frustrating. But anyway, like I said, I'm only gonna do a few more minutes. I'm gonna do a part 2. One thing people would often assume, they would assume that I'm interested in threesome with like cis women, cis couples, cis man, cis woman couples. Of course, the woman would always do the approaching because the guy always used women as their hook. Because somehow her being nice to me is supposed to make me want to have sex with you. I don't see how one has to do with the other. Like, if you can't speak for yourself, I'm already turned off, quite frankly. And so my type isn't even really a look. And I'm not saying I could never, and then maybe that's part of my problem, is that maybe that comes off of my energy, that I'm really kind of a never say never kind of person. But if you're using your girl to speak for you, you're already turned me off. That's not gonna fly. If you wanted me to be attracted to you, then you need to do something, say something, show me that you are something. Otherwise, I can buy from the store the one piece that you think I might be missing in my life. Okay, so it's not that serious. And quite frankly, trans women have penises too, some of them, right? So right, so it was just really, it was frustrating that there was assumption that I just am, and even after I said I'm not. So like, that was even the worst. It's like, you would meet a young lady, hey, I would love to get you to threesome with me and my husband. I'm like, that's not that's cute. You can want to. It's not, that doesn't make me want to. Saying you want to, saying you would love to see that doesn't turn me on whatsoever. In fact, like, you ain't even all that. Like, if you want to be real, if you really want me to be real honest, right? Like, neither of y'all is all that. Actually, if I was over here choosing people based on looks alone, I probably wouldn't have chose half the people I chose. Like, with all due respect, I'm not it's also space and opportunity, right? And so sometimes it's just like, this is who I met that day, and then we vibed, and I just went with it. I actually find intelligence very, very attractive. I find creativity very attractive. I find emotional maturity very attractive. It doesn't matter. I feel like when it comes to cis men, right? When a woman says like, "Oh, I like my guys ugly," it's okay. What if I said I like my girls ugly? Like, I'm sorry if you assumed pretty was a requirement. Like, what are we doing here? One thing I used to say back in the day is like, if I want to see a pretty girl, I just look in the mirror. Like, I got enough pretty for the both of us. You ain't got to be pretty. These are all assumptions. People would make. No one ever asks me anything. It's part of the reason why I even had this channel. Because I'm like, you know what? My spirit, I do believe in spirit guides. I've said this a billion times. I feel like my spirit guides have been really, really pushing me to share myself more. And at first I was just feeling like, you know what? Maybe I was feeling a bit jaded because of all the misunderstandings and all the different ways people would really try to turn the truth and twist things and blah blah blah. And I just kind of was exhausted and jaded of that, and tired of people, and was not feeling much like sharing for a good while. I still don't sometimes, but it's like the more I do it, the more I'm like, yeah, okay, this makes sense. I can, even if nobody sees this, for my own sake, I got it out my system. And it'll be here. Maybe nobody decides to watch it now, but a year goes by, 5 years go by, and you find it, and you think it's amazing. Whatever. This, long story short, I'm also wanting to contribute back, right? Because I've benefited a lot from watching YouTube videos and being on the receiving end of other people sharing. And so I've benefited a lot. And so when I actually first went to start this YouTube channel so many years ago, that was part of my motivation behind it. Was like, okay, sharing is caring. I'm benefiting from what y'all are sharing, and it felt only right that I would also share and contribute. And and then there's this saying that goes, You have to be the change. You have to be the change you want to see in the world. And so I actually wanted to see more trans people. Pardon me, I gotta spit. Sorry. Anyway, I wanted to see more trans people. This is definitely gonna be a part 2. I'm just gonna wrap it up right now and just make a part 2. I wanted to see more trans people over 35, over 40 even, people of color. I just like I was clicking around, and I appreciate a lot of the stories. It doesn't always matter, but sometimes it does. I just wanted to connect with more people in my more specific peer group, not just trans in general. But it's like, where are the black people? Where are the black people over 40? Where are the trans people who, I don't know, are not just into creativity, but isn't out here clout chasing? Like, you know what I mean? We're the ones that want to chill and talk about books that we read. Like, the things a lot of people think is boring. Where are those folks, right? So that's largely why I'm here. Although that could be a video in and of itself. So, all right, we'll wrap this up right now, and I'm going to do a part 2. Just because I already deviated and blah, blah, blah. All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you soon.